The oil price in euro terms is trading at a record high of about 96 euros. That increase in cost is having an effect on European industry. If you take the auto industry as an example, 2/3 of the cost might be electricity. For an average plant producing about 200,000 vehicles, that's the equivalent electricity demand of a city of about 50,000 people. What sets the automation theme apart is that it doesn't just reflect our view on the death of cheap oil, but it also plays into two of our other guerrilla views, the billion boomers and also the austerity busters. The billion boomers view, which basically looks at China, the emerging economies and their demographics and urbanisation. In those markets, labour inflation is high. The demand for labour has increased massively while supply hasn't kept up. This increase in cost of labour, as well as inflation of goods, and the need to keep up with Western efficiency standards is driving Asian producers and emerging world producers to invest heavily in automation. Premium brands from Europe, like Daimler and BMW, are also investing in new facilities in these regions. When you're selling a premium product, what's important is the quality of your brand, and they can't afford to produce the same products in China, but of a cheaper and poorer quality. If you look back to the West and back to Europe, overcapacity is the issue. You've got an inability to cut your workforce. The governments clearly have their thumb pressed hard on some of these auto companies, which effectively act as a government employment agency. Companies there are looking to improve automation, to increase efficiency and reduce costs. One example is Dua. This is a company that makes automotive paint shops. It sells 66% of its orders to the emerging market and has a 60% global market share. Actually, that market share in Asia is about 85%. Now, these paint shops are hugely energy intensive. It can be up to 40% of the total current production costs of an auto plant. And it's not just the electricity, the electricity costs are high. It's not just the ovens which you're using to dry the paint, but it's the whole process of purifying and conditioning the air, separating the paint out. The paint costs alone are extremely high also. If you look at a premium vehicle, the paint cost could be in excess of £800. It's quite reassuring when you go and see a company like BMW, and you know when you buy their products that you're paying a significant premium, that you're not just paying for the label, but actually you're paying for the quality of the product. And a paint is a great example. These companies might produce up to 10 coats of paint. Tata Nano, also probably the world's lowest cost vehicle, this mass product that went out to India, retails at about $2,000. Their costs of paint alone are about £200. So even on a cheaper vehicle, relative to the cost of the vehicle, the paint cost is still high. Another example is Schuller. This is a company that makes hydraulic presses. Essentially, this is you put in a sheet of metal, you press it and you form the parts, the body parts, like a door, for example. The efficiency you can get from a new hydraulic press line can increase your output by about 20%. You also get a higher production consistency. Mechanical presses continue to press at the same speed throughout. A hydraulic press with an electronic servo and controller will press at a faster speed until you make contact with the metal, and then once you actually reach the metal itself, it'll press slower and more consistently, so you don't damage the integrity of the part that you're producing. This also allows for finer pressing, so you can get lighter weight materials produced, and it's also suitable for novel materials like carbon fibre.